I'm with you now until the end.
Good evening and welcome to Conspiracy Cafe. We'll be with you now, we'll be with you to the end, and we're hoping that's a long time from now. We're here on that channel, the one and only little voice of freedom beating from downtown Toronto. And we have a lot of stuff on the plate for you today. And, it was a great week. We had a good blast on the Power Hour for a full hour a couple of days ago, so we could rock the house down in the States, and I think we did a pretty good job, because anticipating our podcast, I hear Dick Cheney had a heart attack. So the pressure's on, Dick. We're going to reveal some of the state secrets and put the pressure on. It was a good day last week. Saturday, the Globe and Mail finally put up the article on the conspiracy shows in Toronto. It appears Toronto is a thriving market for this. Of course, the lead is Richard Serrett on AM 740, Gary Bell on Mojo AM 640. But the Bloomster and Mrs. Steele, myself, and Tim from Shaking a Spear, we're all here on that channel to pick up the slack and hit the ball over the fence. So we really want to thank Michael Posner for putting this article in the Globe and Mail, Are Conspiracy Theorists Infiltrating the Media? And media, you better start to put yourselves on alert, because yes, we are. People are starting to dare to compare, and as they dare to compare, they're starting to find some things out. If you notice, I have a CTV Olympic pin on my jacket, and when somebody from CTV gave that to me a couple of weeks ago, didn't think much of it, but as we study numerology and look at numbers and letters and the relationships thereof, well, it didn't take too long to figure out that C is the third letter of the alphabet, the T is the 20th letter of the alphabet, and the V is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. C is 3. 666. But of course, we have other media here in Canada. We have the CBC, frequently called the Communist Broadcasting Corporation from time to time and discussed. But B is the second letter of the alphabet. C is the third. 2 3s are 6. The first C is another 3. 6 6 6. So is it any wonder you're never going to get the truth heard on mainstream media? Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder? Why do you still listen? Why do you waste your time for their pundits? I think they're working for the other guy. It's quite plain to see if you open your eyes and look. We're going to start a new venue on Saturday night, too. Jan from Star Ray TV wants to get the conspiracy wagon rolling again on Saturday night after the Creature feature movie. And for people who are unfamiliar with it, we did give it a good blast on the Power Hour, too. And hopefully they send it out as a blast to all their listeners. Star Ray TV is a pirate station in Toronto on UHF Channel 15. It's all you need is an old coat hanger and a TV set of obscure origins, and you're watching. And that's primarily for the East End of Toronto. You can also watch it online by downloading a simple little program and getting clear, high-definition quality anywhere in the world. And not only can you see a lot of programming of various genres for free, you can also start listening to a conspiracy show, and we can start carrying on. The other good thing about Jan and Star Ray TV is we're prepared to broadcast on any frequency we have to broadcast on, just in case it hits the fan, and that 666 network just doesn't happen to be on the air or is spewing some poisonous disinformation. The funny thing about guys like us, we were watching the old Blues Brothers movie last week. It's a classic. I haven't seen it for a good number of years. When you think about Jake and Elroy being ex-convicts, being called up to perform a mission, and they jokingly call it being on a mission from God. And who does God raise up sometimes? Sometimes the most innocuous characters. But Jake and Elroy had certain skills that could get them to accomplish the tasks that had to be done in spite of great difficulties. And I think sometimes that applies in a much broader sense, that people with maybe not the best skills to get them on the 666 network, but who just have the determination and drive to make sure that the accomplishments are made as they are laid out. People who will run through obstacles and leap over hurdles and hopefully not get into high-speed police chases in the Eaton Center, but who are just committed to getting that message out. So certain saints are raised up, and I can safely say that a lot of people who are participating in this process can honestly say, too, they are on a mission from God. Although we'll probably not spell it like they do in the movie. One of our faithful sent us the synopsis of the Secret Masons meeting in 2005 in London, England. I guess if you don't take certain medications, you might want to look for the bottle. Project Camelot is what it's called. A little synopsis of the Senior Masons meeting says there is a planned Third World War. It is planned to begin with a nuclear strike by Israel on Iran. Either Iran or China will be provoked into a nuclear response, a brief nuclear exchange, and a ceasefire to justify heavy social military controls in all the Western First World nations. During the nuclear ceasefire, there is planned to be a covert release of biological weapons targeted against the Chinese. China will catch a cold, they said, quote unquote. After this, a full nuclear exchange would be triggered. The real war, widespread destruction and planned population reduction of about 50%. That still doesn't put them anywhere near the Georgia Guidestones, but sometimes the devil has to work overtime. Coming with a geophysical event of undescribed origin sometime in the next decade, not necessarily expected in the 2012 scenario. Something to destroy civilization as we know it, dwarfing even the effects of a nuclear war. The setup of the post-catastrophic world to ensure this new world is the one that the controllers want. Totalitarian control structures need to be in place. The populace will accept and demand them. It's like I've always said before, you'll beg for it. Beg for it. Please, please take all my rights and freedoms. Please, please make me crawl on the ground like a worm. I want it. Enable the right to survive and prosper in the post-catastrophic world, beginning the next 11,500-year cycle. The planned genocide of the Chinese people, don't think they'll go down easily. Not informed about the planned fate of the second and third world countries such as South America, Africa, and Asia, the totalitarian military governments of the Western white people are set to be the inheritors. The Fourth Reich is alive and well. These planned events are not inevitable because you have a God-given power that you can exercise to save your ass. You change the channel. You turn off the 666 networks, and guess what can happen? You can liberate yourselves. Wasn't it Bob Marley had a great song like that? Emancipate yourself. You can liberate yourself with knowledge and truth. Yes, Brother Marley was right on tune there. Right on tune. So what do we have with these Olympics? Like, what are they? The common philosophy from old Rome was to rule with bread and circuses. What are the Olympics? Well, it's not bread, so it's got to be a circus. And the funny thing is, you know, most people I know just stumble around, glad to have their little souvenirs of the Olympics. And then, you know, I wonder, maybe the Indians are the same as us. They got their beads and trinkets, and some of the first people in Manhattan got Manhattan for those beads and trinkets. So we gladly give away the beads and trinkets, the Olympic souvenirs, and everybody gobbles them up and turns their focus, just in a classic diversion, while our leaders go and do something else, which we'll get into as we get into the meat of the show. One of the greatest giveaways in Canadian history was done by Mr. Harper while his pierogi parliament was probably watching the Olympics with everybody else, but that's okay. You don't need a future because you're going to be a slave anyway. We have a report of a massive chemtrail operation in the Pacific Northwest that was supposed to be going on. A lot of warnings for people up there, like everything nasty under the sun is pretty much in this thing, from aluminum barium, aluminum oxide, bacillus, molds, pseudomonas. You know, why would you want to care about that when you can watch the Olympics and your nose can fall off and your skin can melt or something like that? But they're still up there spraying, and I hope you're still down here praying, because you're going to need a little help. As we said on the Power Hour, and if we got a few listeners tagging on about that, you want to know some of the things that are going on in your country and how the greater chessboard operates. We brought up last week about how we spent $900 million to secure the Olympics, and how a mental case got into BC Place to get close to the vice president. Well, that hasn't changed too much. They're trying to say it's not all that important, but we have to look at, you know,